you guys had a little bit of a quieter summer. You know, Joe told us at the end of last season that if he could run it back, he would, and that's more or less what you guys have done. You know, there's a little bit more clarity around Gabe. You know, nothing with Val at the end of last season. Just was this maybe a summer that the organization needed?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, obviously, since 2022, we had a lot of players leaving in the off season. Some years, like last year, starting the year with significant injuries to a bunch of guys in our top six and key players, and was looking at some of the rosters that we started the season with last year compared to what we have going into this year. We're relatively healthy. We do have a handful of injuries that will hamper some guys in camp, but probably the deepest team we've had since 2022 to start the season. Some of the key players that came in and helped us post-deadline last year and in the playoffs, you know, Brock Nelson, you know, we had Burns this year. Those signings were done relatively early. Kelly re-signed, Manson re-signed. So we feel like we're a deep team right now and starting healthier than we have in the past few years. So guys are all excited about it.
Evan and Eric.
Just some of those guys, there was a lot of changes last year. With guys like Brock and those guys never been traded, like, do you think a summer of stability and training camp, there's another level that they can reach that maybe we didn't possibly see last year?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot. Like, for a guy like Brock, that's a lot, right? Like, he's not just, you know, jumping in a car or jumping on a flight and getting to Denver and playing hockey. There's a lot of things outside the game that can be distractions. As easy as his family would try to make it on him, like he's moving an entire family for the first time, trying to get him settled in, trying to fit into a new team. It's why, you know, like deadline changes, I loved everything that we did. Chris did an amazing job getting us a team that we felt like could win. But having those guys back on your roster to start the year and build chemistry throughout the course of the whole 8 months of the season, I think is really important. And, you know, when it comes to them as individuals, I really do think that, like, settling in now, feeling comfortable with his family, less distractions off the ice, and also knowing the guys, the way we play, I do think that we're going to see another level from guys like him. Yeah.
Eric and Pat.
Jared, two-parter. Number one, 4 right shot defensemen. How do you plan to deploy that? And number two, could you elaborate on the injuries and who might be missing camp?
Sure. I'll start with the injuries. So Logan O'Connor had hip surgery, as you all know, and he's doing great. His timeline was 5 to 6 months. He is, as you guys probably have seen, is on the ice. He looks great, feels great. He's working hard in the gym. So he is on track to be back in that timeline, which would put him someplace beginning of November-ish, you know, depending on how things go here and when things ramp up with the physicality that he's going to see. He's going to obviously miss and be limited, you know, through training camp and through the first part of the season. But to have him back fully healthy, his surgery, was it last year or 2 years ago? He had the other hip done and everything went great, and he's feeling better with this one. So we know how much that helped his game and the way he was feeling on the ice on a daily basis. So excited to get him back and healthy at some point. Gerard has been dealing with some lower body injuries. He's rehabbing, and everything seems to be going great there too. He is now on the ice, and so we're looking at him probably missing some time in camp when it comes to, like, all of our group stuff. The injured guys will be hitting the ice on their own, and we're hoping that he's going to be ready for the start of the season. And then the other one that's popped up is Blackwood, was dealing with an injury over the off season. He is also rehabbing. Things seem to be going good. Week to week, I would say right now, but he's going to be limited and missing some time in camp as well. And we're hoping he's ready to go for the start of the season. If not right at the start, then maybe the first week or two.
Pat?
Coach, it's good to be able to ask you this, but
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, second part of it, the 4D, right? So, yeah, that's a deep group back there, obviously, with the addition of Burns. Lots of guys that play a lot of minutes and are really good at what they do. So we're gonna start with playing Sam Malinsky on the left side and see how that goes. Burns primarily plays right, Manson right. obviously Cale Wright, and that's a lot of minutes right there. So that obviously we will work on how we're going to deploy them. Some guys will play left at times, but I think like for a permanent decision, just with some experimentation here in camp, we're going to try and play Sam Malinsky on the left side as much as we possibly can here and see how it goes.
Pat, then Ryan, then we'll move over here.
It's good to be able to ask you this, but with Gabe this season, do you have like a timeline? Like, do you want how many games you want to play? Will he play in back-to-backs and maybe a minutes restriction, or how will that work with him?
Well, he's feeling great, so he'll be full go, and I think we just have to monitor that and make our decisions like in the moment. You know, like if he has any soreness or anything's going on with him, and he needs a day here and there off for practice or even games, then we'll do that. Like we're looking at big picture stuff here for Landy, get him through the full entire season, have him feeling good, so he's available. Come the stretch run and hopefully playoffs. And for me, that's just going to be the communication between him and I and our medical staff. So right now he's full go. I'm not going to limit his minutes. I'm not going to, sit him out games when he's feeling good or take him practices off when he's feeling good. When he feels, and not that if he's feeling, if at any point he comes to me just like any other player and he's fatigued or he's not feeling like he's ready to practice for whatever reason, then we'll play it cautiously.
Hey, Jared, just wanted to ask about the departure of Ray Bennett and the addition of Dave Haxtell, how you saw that unfolding during the playoffs and decision to move on from Ray, and then how Haxtell's going to fit into your program.
Yeah, so tough decision, obviously. It's not something I'd thought about during the playoffs at all, and then end of the season comes and there was some discussions and we decided to move on from Ray and get a new voice in our power play room. It was tough to find someone, It's the first time I've gone through it for 8 years. We've had the same staff, did a really good job, and I had certain criteria that I wanted to meet with the hire. And there was a lot of good coaches out there, but we have a little bit of a unique situation with our personnel and in our power play room and their ability. And so I was looking for someone that had some experience dealing with top players and power plays and, really good power play coaches that have been running a successful power play with star players. They're not available, right? And so we started looking at some of the head coaches that had done it in the past and that have run teams in the past and could provide a bunch of different things for us. And, I had some really good conversations with Hack early. It took a long time. I talked to a lot of people. And then just trying to find the right guy that could possibly fit in with our group and help our group was obviously the most important thing, and we feel like we found that in Hack. He's got a ton of experience, and I like what he's bringing to our staff right now, and he's excited to get started with our players here. That will happen usually for us happens about day 4 of camp, but we have the 2 games, and then after that we'll get into our special teams. The first part of camp is mostly focused on our 5-on-5 play. We had a couple other changes. Obviously Mark Letestu is now with the Eagles, with Schneeks getting a job in well-deserved in Seattle, and on our staff with Toby moving on, we hired Mark Popovic. He's been helping our team for the last few years, been doing all of like our injured ice and up with the Eagles and helping our guys, spend a bunch of time with Landy, etc. So we feel like he's ready to step up and do that job, and he's been doing a great job. As you know, our guys look really hungry. They've been here. I was here, back and forth in August, and the room was full. And when we came back after the long weekend, you can tell it's not just all of our players here. There's a ton of young guys here and excited and ready to get going for the season. So they've been skating for a long time and been together for a long time, which is exciting. It's been a long camp for them because I feel like our guys are already ready to go.
Bailey, then up here.
At the beginning of availability, you mentioned Brent Burns as being a key addition in this squad. Older guy who has experience in all areas of the ice. What do you see him bringing to this team?
A lot. Yeah, a lot, on and off the ice. He's a guy, he's a magnetic personality, right? Like it's, he loves the game of hockey, loves being around the guys, being around the rink. He's a really fun guy. You know, I walk into the practice facility in the summertime, he's already there, his family's already settled. There's 5, 6 guys talking to him over by the coffee machine. Half hour later, I go in, he's talking with 5 or 6 other guys holding court, you know, over by the squat rack. And then 20 minutes later, I walk by, he's talking to another 5, 6 guys in the hallway, and they're all laughing. So I love the personality that he brings to our team, the leadership. Obviously, this is a guy that's been around, he's hungry to win. And, you know, on top of that, he plays every night. Plays a lot of minutes every night. He's really good in a bunch of different areas. 5-on-5, penalty kill guy, another big body, strong guy that clears the front of the net well, and obviously really good on the power play as well.
Corey, then Troy.
Just in case I missed that there, is Dave Hackstall going to run the power play?
He is.
Okay. Just whenever you went back and looked at the Dallas series, like, did you find stuff that you didn't see right after when it was still raw? And then just, I guess, generally speaking, do you think there can be some sort of hangover from how stunning and shocking that was for the players and the organization?
I would say I'm hoping it's the opposite when it comes to that. I mean, we went through heartbreak for years where we felt like we had a team that could win and we didn't, and then we won in 2022. And in 2022, the focus of our group reminds me of the focus that our team has right now. So it drove us to be better in all areas. When I looked at the Dallas series, I love the way we played 5-on-5. We got beat up a little bit on the special teams. 2 years ago, we had a tough time creating high danger scoring chances against Dallas. We had a tough time protecting our net front with their size and ability to throw pucks into the net front and create scoring chances. And if you look at those games, I think 6 out of the 7 games we dominated in expected goals for percentage. And you look at those numbers, it was pretty impressive the way our guys played. We did not score easy in that series. We gave up some timely goals, and special teams was a difference. But some of the things that we really struggled with the year before against them, I thought we did a really nice job of in the Dallas series. So there was nothing, you know, I was pretty happy with the way we played 5-on-5. We got to find a way to win.
Coach, you hold this team to a high standard. You have, but it felt like the last couple of years you're trying to fix the plane while it was in the air. Dramatic changes of personnel during the season.
Yeah.
Changed your goalie room early last year. Going into this year with very little drama, it feels like you said, the continuity. Does that create this lane like, hey, you know, deep run, no excuses, we've got the group, like we can do this? Is that they kind of clear a path that's maybe a little different from years past?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, hey, that's the goal. I really like the team we got post-deadline last couple of years. It's more challenging when you get everyone at the deadline like that. Like if you're looking at our team now from the start of last year, we got 6 of 12 forwards back, 6 of 7 D back, 2 new goalies. But they're the guys, for the most part, that finished with us at the end of the year with some additions, right? Olsen, Burns, which I think can help us. But it's a group that we're hoping to start the season with and end the season with, you know? So I like the fact that they can learn and grow together and come together, and so everyone's, not only the responsibilities are clear, but that they have this length of time to be able to work through, you know, what exactly we need to do to have success for the course of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I'm excited about it. I think it's part of the reason why our players are excited about it. It's a good team right off the bat here to start.
Rob, then Will.
Last couple of years at this time, we're asking about no one's wearing the C, who's going to be the leader. Even though Gabe was in the room, he said himself he never felt like, you know, his voice wasn't quite as strong because he wasn't there. What kind of a difference will it make to have him back, not just on the ice, but in the locker room with that now?
I think it's a huge difference. Yeah, and I think our players feel that too. I just feel like he's one of a kind when it comes to his leadership ability, right? And his experience and what he's done with and for this organization. The players have a ton of respect for him, as do the coaching staff, management group, everyone. So having him in the room, I think, just kind of puts all, like, there's so many different types of leaders that you have in a group, and ultimately, you know, to be unified, you know, to have the unity that we want. I like the fact that we're all starting together as a group that we can go through the whole season with. And then from a leadership standpoint, I think it just sort of slots. We want everyone to be a leader in their own way. We're working on a few things to help that out, but I think that, you know, it slots everyone, you know, with the right voice and with the right, you know, responsibilities for our leadership group to have a good season. And I think Landy's the key to that. Like, he's a real calming presence in there, and, you know, he makes his rounds around the room and makes sure he's talking with everyone, and everyone really feels comfortable speaking with him and opening up to him if there's any issues. So, and then he's really also very good at relating that to the coaching staff, to other players, and sort of uniting the group. So I think it makes a huge difference, not just his play on the ice, but also what he brings into our locker room.
Well, then we'll wrap it up over here.
Jared, in some senses, the parade, you mentioned 2022, kind of feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
In other senses, there's been 3 champions crowned since then. I'm just curious, kind of your perspective on, does that feel like it was yesterday? Does it feel like it was a lifetime ago, and sort of a sense of urgency to get back there?
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago, really. You know, even the next year, by the time we entered the playoffs, it felt like a long time ago. The reality of it is, there's only been 2 teams that have won since us, and everyone's fighting for that same prize. But I think there's a big sense of urgency to get there. Like, like, we've had really good regular seasons, right? Like, our record speaks for itself, and when you're having regular seasons like we've had, you want to make sure that continues into the playoffs, and it hasn't for us in the past 3 seasons. So I think the sense of urgency is there. I think it will grow as the season goes on, and the focus again is being the best team we can possibly be entering playoff time.
Megan?
Last year, Ross.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Last year, Ross Colton experienced a little bit of a scoring drought late in the season. He said he never dealt with anything quite like that. And of course, he gets injured early in the Dallas series. How can you help to support him to replicate some of the success that he had coming out the gate at the start of this last year?
Yeah, he was amazing at the start of the year. I think that's what made it so surprising, because scoring at a clip that he'd never scored at before for the first month plus of the season, and then going through probably the worst cold streak he's had all in one season. And the thing that sort of set off that cold streak was his injury, when he blocked a shot and missed time, and then came back and never really could find his groove again with putting the puck in the net. Like, ice time for him is pretty steady, you know? Like, it's not something where he's going to gain a bunch of minutes in order to, like, work his way out of a slump. I think having gone through both the highs and lows of last season for him will help him, that experience. He has some thoughts on it. I have some thoughts on it that we've shared. It's all about, not just for him, but all our players to kind of get the best of them. It's about finding the right fit and chemistry with line mates. There's a big question mark there, right? Like, how do we... Some of the things we're looking at in camp, how do we, you know, establish our top 6 where both lines are super dangerous? Like, what is the chemistry there, right? Landy, Lecky, Val, Olofsson, Neckash, who's playing with who in the top 6, and how do we find chemistry on both of those lines? And then it kind of goes to our third line. The one hole that we have in our lineup right now is our 3C, okay? Ross has played it. I think Jury is perfectly capable of playing in that role. We're going to experiment with that through training camp. What does that look like? If Jury goes up and plays with Colton and, say, Olofsson or Lehkonen, or like whatever that group looks like, do they find chemistry? Are they responsible, you know, on the defensive side of it while creating a bunch of scoring chances? And I like their then I like and I like the chemistry, then maybe we go with that. If it's cold, I mean, if it's Drury up there, then who fills the 4C role, right? Kelly's done it. We got guys like Bardakov, Prishapov that we're going to take good looks at with some of our more experienced personnel through training camp. So we have some decisions to make. There's going to be some young guys that make our roster this year, especially up front. So we'll see how they play in camp and see how it all sorts out. But to me, it's about finding the chemistry where he feels comfortable, getting him in a role that he feels comfortable in, and then hopefully they're creating enough scoring chances to put the puck in the net.
Just quickly, Evan, then Colin.
This feels like the first kind of normal summer for Val, and since even before the Cup, because he had injuries and everything.
Yeah.
Like, what is kind of his headspace, and kind of how do you think that's going to help him coming into this year?
Yeah, it's great. Even like through the course of last season, I love where Val was at. Had a long talk with him at the end of the season. He took a long trip with his sister and got out across America. He's had a great summer. He's back. He's hungry. He's healthy. You know, the health part of it is probably the most important thing. You know, because I feel like he's been in a good headspace for quite some time. But to have a full summer to now be able to train and get ready for the season, I expect him to have a big start. Yeah, I'm excited about his year.
Finish with Colin.
Coach, there's the difference from last year to this year. You know, at the exit interviews, Joe and Chris both said that they thought they had the team to do it last year, and you're saying, you know, you're feeling that for this year as well. How significant is that difference coming into this season with the solid goaltending that you have from the difference from last year?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. That's part of it. You know, like we like our personnel. That's why they're all back. You know, you're always going to have some change, but it was a minimal amount of change. We added a handful of guys that we really think can help us. I think whenever you get a team like we did 2 years ago, last year, you know, you get it at the deadline and there's a ton of excitement, and we feel like we had a team that could win, you know, and then again, it becomes about playing your best hockey for that 2 weeks to be able to survive and advance, right? And we didn't do that. So the focus, though, we can't just look to the playoffs, right? We got to secure our spot. And our goal is to finish as high as we can in the standings, try to win our division so we're getting a home ice advantage. And I think all those things are important. But it's going to be, you know, same as every year, focus on our process and our habits and make sure we're playing the right way and that we're doing it consistently enough to not only have regular season success, but so it can carry over into the playoffs. So, but the goaltending, I would say, is it's a big part of it. You know, we have a lot of confidence in both those guys, and you know, like I said, Blackie may miss a few games at the start of the season, and we feel really confident that Wedge can go in and win his hockey games. And our goal is to sort of pick up where we left off. If you look at, say, our analytics of our team and you break it down from the year, like we start top third of the season. We've done that, you know, year after year, and we worked our way, you know, post deadline into one of the top 5 teams in creating chances and suppressing chances, and then the playoffs we were outstanding in that regard. So our goal is to sort of pick up where we left off post trade deadline with much of the same group, and I don't see why there's any reason why we can't do that. We get a high standard right away, and we just keep trying to improve and get more consistent at what we do as the year goes on, and hopefully carry it over into the playoffs.